Is I put
Just don't use it.
No, I put it further to your left, so it forces you to go like that.
Yeah, but it's
If it's when it's in front of you,
dumb.
a lot of times you won't do it.
It's because it's dumb.
Did you guys not hear Luds?
What?
Ryan, you got to play it again.
I'd like to use a couple C words.
You guys did miss it the first time, which denotes that we are now live.
Oh.
So you guys are complaining about knobs.
Yeah, well, it's
And we're
look at
live.
this thing. Like what?
We're live right now.
We are.
Walk over here.
Yeah. The only thing we don't have is we have all these TV lights and cameras. We don't have the light over the camera that
live
says
button.
this camera right now. Boy, do we have a fun one today.
Hello.
We got Razor bobblehead. We got Sam in the Looney Tunes or the Looney Bin. We're not sure. Sean's here.
Take off,
Danny
you
Webster
hoser.
from Vegas is here. Not yet, but he'll be in segment 2. It's chaos. Let's start it. Stars podcast on a Wednesday. Yeah, look at the thumbnail. Mark Stone, Miro Heiskanen. We're going to do the other 31 Vegas Golden Knights today in segments 2 and 3 with Danny Webster. Should be a fun one. Alongside Sam Nestler, Craig Ludwig.
How am I
our
hot Sam in
producer,
here too?
Hot Sam Nestler. We got Ryan Vodders, also known as Private Ryan or maybe Private First Class Ryan. We're working on that.
Oh.
That was part of the chat last night,
I like
Sam.
that.
Yep.
I like that.
But as our producer, I'm Owen Newkirk. Sean is here today, so he is joining us on remote from suburban Michigan. And don't forget that this is Big Brothers Big Sisters month, and this week we are encouraging everyone to try, if they can, to sign up to be a big and help out a little. Go to bbbs.org/allcity for more information, or stick around for the second ad read because Luds is going to read all about it in a little while. And
that ought to be
you
fun.
know you want that. All right, let's bring Sean and the gang back on the screen.
I think he's frozen.
Oh, no.
Hey
Of
guys,
course
happy
he is.
fall.
What happened?
A couple days ago, first
Did
day
we
of
lose
fall.
Sean?
I learned that today.
Apparently, Sean's Wi-Fi is...
Sean?
You know, I have to say, Luds, as much as we give you grief,
Thank you.
your Wi-Fi in Wisconsin,
That's-
always good.
But
Chris.
that's because from the
And from the
road,
Pittsburgh
anywhere I
airport.
am, because I scout it out early in the morning.
I like that.
I go around and I got a little meter and it tells you what kind of signal you get.
Yep.
And so I make sure that I go to the spot with the highest signal. Unlike, well, in Detroit everything sucks, so that's probably why. It's probably not. Sean.
Sam, it actually almost feels like fall in Texas today after that nice cold front, which is going to be a high 82 today or something
Amazing.
like that.
Dropped like 15 degrees in one night.
The other
Beautiful.
day, I don't know if you got it closer to downtown, but up in McKinney, we had this absolute monsoon. What's today? Wednesday. It was Monday.
Yeah.
Just rain and lightning and wind and all the things that rained. It's flooded all over the place.
It's cool in Texas that you can
But it
see
didn't get-
storms.
Yeah.
Like I could see different
Coming.
cities, lightning and thunder. And
Once-
This
you
is
can't
kind
see
of
thunder, but you know.
This is kind of when you're at a TV studio, and if you ever go to any of them things when you're watching it live, and they have to continue. There's a guy back there doing this.
Yes.
They want you to stretch it out
Keep
because we're
talking.
having technical difficulties. And
Just
we can't
keep
get
going
John
with
up.
what you're doing. I promise you we're going to get everybody going here in a second. Danny Webster from the Las Vegas Review-Journal will be joining us in our next segment for a couple of segments to talk about the Vegas Golden Knights, as if we had
Hey,
anything
look at
to
this
talk
guy.
about with Vegas. And then there's Sean. And Sean, Luds has some hot takes. I was
Love's always has
explaining.
hot takes.
Yes, but he's ready to spar with you. So sharpen your knives. We have a fun little segment here. Sean wrote a piece for D Magazine recently, which was the second annual Dallas Stars Power Rankings. He did it for the first time last year, and he had 13 people. I'll let you describe how you did it real quick, and then we'll get into it. But here's last year's rankings, Sean, as you went 1 through 13 of can you explain why you did this or what this represents?
Yeah, it's a ranking. We've done it 2 years in a row now at D Magazine, and it is the concept is basically it boils down to how much does the decision and actions of one person impact the greater stars universe is kind of the rough guidelines we use. So it's not just on the ice, it's basically the entire state of things around the stars. And for this exercise, we've always done the no we don't include Tom Ghilardi on this because as the team owner, it would be honestly a bit of a it wouldn't make much sense to include the team owner on this because they're always going to be number one or number two on the list. So yeah, so that's where this exercise kind of started, and kind of trying to give people an idea of who and how, and when it comes to the things that impact the stars beyond just what you're watching on the ice across the board, who are the power players at that in that realm. So
Sam, you got anything? You got
I don't
anything
know
to
if you
say?
can see Sam, but his microphone
Did you
is
break
now
your
in
mic?
his
You
lap.
guys check.
You had it up right before. What were you
I
doing?
don't know. It's all bent, and it's happened to me
There's-
before. You just gotta power through it.
Sam,
I
there's,
honestly, I
Oh,
vote that we give
God.
Sam that mic every single time he's in studio.
So Sean, let's get to Sean.
Let's get to Sean.
'cause Sam's gonna be a while.
Yeah.
We just have a shot at him the whole day.
We should just have a hot Sam cam of him just playing with the microphone.
So can we go back to that? Can we go back to that board, Ryan? I'm tired of Sam.
Oh my god.
So Sean, Brad
is
Alberts,
last
Jim
year's.
Nill, top two, right? So
That's-
to me, you're just
that's
sucking
from-
up. I get it.
that's
I get it. You want to get your
from-
interviews and all that stuff. I don't understand why there's a scout who's not part of the organization that's in the top three.
You mean an agent?
Or agent, sorry, agent. Because I was telling these guys before, where is our amateur scout? I think, and I see him. You've got him down there at number 9, but
This-
number
this
6,
is
I'll just
also
leave that
con-
alone. So I just
Real
want to
quick,
know
real quick,
why
real
do
quick,
you
real
have an agent in
Hold
the
on,
top
Sean.
three?
I think Sean's yelling in the background, right?
Well,
Is Sean still there?
yeah, he is. Every time we
Oh.
half pause, his
No,
half-second delay
No,
goes.
I am here, but I want to be clear. You have the list from last year up there.
Yes, on purpose.
That is last year's list. So I want to be clear for the people watching, because for the people, the list you're showing on the screen right now is not the current list. I
Okay,
want
we have
people-
two.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm only going off the one I can
So,
see.
okay, so Ryan, go ahead and put this year's on because Sean added a 14.
Okay, he's number 4.
Yes, that's
Okay,
fine.
Andy Scott, the super agent, apparently is number 4 in the organization. Why?
Luds, he is the agent for Wyatt Johnson, Thomas Harley, and Mikko Rantanen. He is the person who will shape the Stars cap picture more than anyone. And he did with the Rantanen last year. Came in with the Harley and the Johnston deal before the season. This was before the Stars ever traded for Rantanen. If there is one person who outside of Jim Nill that is going to have their fingers on the most of the Stars cap picture for the extended future, it's Andy Scott right now, because he represents what happened with Rantanen and Johnston this past spring. He will be the one behind the Harley deal. He is right now. That is such a big long-term impact on this team with the salary cap structure and where things go. And he will represent almost probably about 20% of the Stars salary cap at some point here.
Sean, you have 2 players on there, Jason Robertson, Jake Ottinger. Can you explain your perspective on why they're up there? Because it's obviously not just because they are good players on the ice.
Yes, it's not just on the ice stuff. So Jason Robertson, he's there because very similar to the reason we just talked about Scott, so much of this team structure and long-term build and health of a franchise is salary cap management, right? What Jason Robertson does or doesn't want to do with his contract is going to greatly shape what this team does. And we talked about this list with the power rankings and how decisions of others impact the others. What Jason Robertson and the Stars end up negotiating, and whether with his play or whatever you want to call it, Jason will have a massive impact on what happens with the rest of the franchise this year. Jake Ottinger, it's hard. He's higher on this list than we had him last year because of 2 things. One, we saw how much power he had when basically he was the cult leader that Pete DeBoer went after, right? Like you don't go after the. I'm not saying that is a bad thing. Just Jake Ottinger's the party planner, and not only is their goalie, so he's the guy who Pete DeBoer is no longer here because of how he managed things with Jake Otten. And on top of that, when you combine the play on the ice, as Lud said when we did our Stars roster rankings and everything like this, Jake Ottinger has to be one of your best players to get past that third round. It's been his play that's helped them reach where they are, and it's also been his play the past 3 years in that third round that have limited them from potentially getting to one more round. So it is that's why those two players are on there, because it's obviously impact the winning and losing aspect of this team, but there's also much bigger picture things they both have fingerprints on and have control over than people realize.
Do you hear that little rattle, Sean? Are your headphones picking up that?
Is it Razor? Is it Razor?
Yes, indeed.
He's gonna be pissed. He's even lower than he was last year. He was number 12 last year. He's a Hall of Famer, and you moved him down. I mean, this isn't going to go over well. And the only reason I actually have him, Sean, with me today is because we are going tonight downtown with Razor and his entourage for a little. He's throwing his own celebration for the Hall of Fame one, and we're having a little dinner downtown here. So, and then I see at number 14 was a reporter.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Explain.
So, for those who aren't aware, if you have looked up anything about
me.
if you are aware of what's happened with the Dallas Stars perception in the last 6 months, the Stars as an organization, and one of their biggest point of prides has been how they have built youth hockey, how they have the avenue to drive the sport and everything like that. There have been two very big stories in the past 6 months about how, from USA Today, about how the Dallas Stars, I'm using the headline from the story where they quote unquote monopolized youth hockey. And there's been stories about how they use their position of power to potentially push out. There's been claims that they pushed people out who ran the high school programs at Frisco, for example. And Kenny Jacoby is the reporter who broke both of those stories. He's the person who Damon Botcher was on this list last year.
He was
Brad
13th
Alberts,
last year.
Wait, is this the guy that wrote the article that got everybody?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sure number 1 and 2 are going to appreciate that, him being on the list.
Let's be clear on something. I gave number 2 a call before this list came out, because I know the conversation I know the message I would receive the next day already, so I just got ahead of it when that came out. So yes, so number 14, Kenny Jacoby, is someone who the Star has put the Stars in a spot of where they've had to fix their image a bit in the public space, and it's why Dan Stukel has had to. Now Stukes has had 15 different jobs, Luds, but in his most recent job, Stukes is now in the spot of he's got to be the one that is in the damage control spot. So from a Stars position and from their kind of because perception is everything in a lot of cases, Kenny's work is one of the reasons that they've had to be in some damage control lately, and it's also one of those things where it felt like there was a bit of a threat at the end of his at the last article, where it says, hey, well, the Stars have also turned their focus to volleyball. That was the last line of the last story, and definitely a bit of a shot fired there, of meaning more is being looked into, if you look at it that way. So that is why Kenny Jacoby is on the list.
I don't think anybody's worn more hats than Dan Stukel.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done I think he's the longest tenured in the organization. Stukes has been here.
I know he went away. He left the organization.
Well, he went to Calgary,
back.
I believe.
Right.
I think he went with was that Craig Buttons went out there? I think Butts brought him in.
He was part of the group that came to Dallas from Minnesota.
Yeah.
And then left with Butts to Calgary, and then he came back because he's been here since before I got here, and I was hired 12 years ago now.
Yeah.
So, boy, that adds up.
John, where is Craig Ludwig on this list of power rankings?
He ran out of paper.
He would have been at 15. He would have been next on 15.
Oh, so you just missed it.
I would take 15.
Just missed it.
Okay. Thanks, John.
You have to have. I mean, let's be honest. Number 13, when Razor's 13 on this list, and if we're allowed to just speak the truth on this show, which I like to, there's something fitting about his other former broadcast partner getting his flowers, but Razor getting his own celebration 2 days later in the same week. There is,
I guess for me, Sean, I would probably put. I don't. Where was our amateur scout there? What number did you have him at there?
Last year, Joe McDonnell was 9th.
Yeah, I guess I would. Just my opinion. I think I'd have him in the top 5. I just think that. And again, today's this is a different era because everything is through the draft and everything is about finding these players. And,
I have a feeling Sean has a reason why.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does. But I just think that guy is so important in his staff.
He is, and let's be clear, that's where he was in the top 10 on this list last year. The reason he was not on this year because when you are neutered by trades, when you have no picks to make those decisions. Like Joe McDonnell is a huge part of, and his staff are a huge part of the future and what happens with the Stars. A lot of their work has been done right now. There's not much they can do right now because of how much draft capital has been traded away. So that's kind of one of those things where it's not a reflection of Joe and his work. I saw a couple of them at the USHL scouting the USHL amateur stuff last week. It's more reflective of there is no. They don't really have the capital to make that impact in the next year or two. That's kind of the thought process there.
So it's a fun talking point.
I'm not done. But I know we're going to break and we got to bring Danny in, so apparently I'm done.
No, but would you like to?
Maybe we'll do it at the end.
Couldn't you remember for segment 4?
Probably not.
Okay,
but let's give it a whirl.
We'll try to remember to bring back this topic up at the end because Luds has some more to gripe about. And I can't wait to do that. But Danny Webster from the Las Vegas Review-Journal will join us next as we talk about the Vegas Golden Knights here on DLLS.
But now, let's talk about Prize Picks. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day. But on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. When it comes to Prize Picks, it's kind of, we all watch the NFL on Sundays, we all watch football on Saturdays and Sundays. We don't say any specific league. We watch football on Saturdays and Sundays, and we like to guess what happens. We like to predict what's going to happen from play to play. And then over the course of the game, you can be right or wrong about that. With Prize Picks, it's really simple to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. Play Prize Picks to get action on football in more than 40 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Prize Pick is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick more on Josh Allen's pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup, only on Prize Picks. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code DLLS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code DLLS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
Thank you, Sean. I'm not laughing at you.
I'm laughing because a little bird flew by.
Yeah. It was very funny.
No, I just saw 2 birds fly by now back there.
Yeah, just getting us distracted. Let's talk about Shady Rays. You know that moment, the one where you just realized that your favorite pair of sunglasses were left at the gas station 2 states away or at the beach, or maybe you had them in your pocket. You sat down to tie your shoes and those fashionable skinny jeans that Luds is always wearing just crushed at them and they snapped. Well, here's the good news. Shady Rays makes great sunglasses that are good-looking, polarized, durable, and they're not stupidly expensive. And if you ever break them, lose them, you can get replacements. No guilt trip. They'll send you a brand new pair. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you this exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com. Use the code DLLS35. You can see it in the bottom of the chat right now, or right there, DLLS35 for 35% off polarized sunglasses. All right, let's bring in Danny, who probably doesn't know what he's walking into right now with the power rankings we just had. Danny Webster, who is the beat writer covering the Golden Knights for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Danny, thank you so much for joining us today. I only hope that out there in Nevada, it's not cooking you at 150 degrees at the moment.
You know what? We are hopefully approaching the point where we're starting to hit the 90s a little bit for the foreseeable future. Being at the rink last night, and there's that 60-degree drop when you go from outside to inside T-Mobile Arena. Definitely hit hard last night. But yeah, it's still hot here. Probably not as bad as the Dallas humidity, but we are in the hot zone here.
Well, it's starting to cool down here where we're maybe going to have a high in the 80s, and we can't wait. But before I unleash Luds and
It
Sean
was
at you-
106 yesterday on my drive back.
Yeah, it wasn't
Starting to
wasn't
cool down
at all. Yeah, I know for sure. Danny, before I unleash these two on you, let's start with something that, from a Stars fan perspective, there's still a lot of lingering thoughts about Miro Heiskanen and Mark Stone from January. I don't know if people realize, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'll bet you that Vegas Golden Knight fans don't spend nearly as much time thinking about that play and that incident as we do here in Dallas. And there is going to be maybe some bad blood and hostility between the two clubs when they meet next, but it's coming from Dallas, isn't it? It's not something that's pervasive in the Golden Knights' general consciousness.
Yeah, I will say that, and it's not even just from that aspect. I completely forgot about Miro's injury until I saw an article pop up the other day talking about how he was rehabbing well and could be ready for opening night. And I was like, oh yeah, that was a thing that happened in January or whatever month that was. Yeah, it's not something that, has really been a big talking point. I know that when it first happened, it was a big talking point here. Wondering if Mark was going to get suspended or if anything of that sort. But it was also something that the Golden Knights wanted to just move on from because they realized it, and from their perspective and from Mark's perspective, a freak accident, that's pretty much what it boils down to from their standpoint. Obviously, knowing Mark Stone for as long as I have, he didn't come into that situation with any malicious intent or anything like that, and he felt horrible afterwards, and he felt horrible about the situation afterwards. So don't get me wrong, there are a lot of Golden Knights right now in that locker room that still feel that the Dallas Stars are their biggest rivals. That is definitely the case over the last few years. But the animosity and whatnot, I can understand from the Dallas side, believe me, that there is a lot of animosity for that. And I can only imagine that first meeting is going to be very, very heavily charged up, especially if Miro is on the ice for that one.
Well, Danny, let's talk about the new shiny penny. Well, maybe not penny. The new shiny silver dollar, since we're in Vegas, in town, Mitch Marner. Obviously coming to there's a reason he's coming there. It's a great team. It's a loaded team. Well, how do you see it playing out? Who's the right guy for Marner to play with? I mean, is it Eichel? Is it Stone, Barbashev, Hertl? I mean, my first reaction is when you watch Eichel play, he likes to have the puck. I mean, I think Mitch Marner likes to have the puck. But who do you think is the right guy? Because here's the deal. These guys hear me this all the time. I kind of put my lines together in pairs, and then I try to find the other guy that can complement those two. So how do you see Marner fitting into what line he's on?
Yeah, Greg, Bruce Cassidy thinks the exact same way. Like when he's picking out his line combinations, he likes to start in pairs. So when you go down each line, even when you look at Jack Eichel, he's had chemistry with Ivan Barbashev since 2023 when they won the Cup. You look at Tomas Hertl, he had chemistry with Pavel Dorofeyev last year, and then William Karlsson with Riley Smith. I think ultimately when it comes to Marner, the one person that's going to probably work out best for as far as how deep the Golden Knights want to be this year is going to be Jack Eichel. And it's because of the chemistry that Hertl has with Dorofeyev and Brandon Saad, and it's going to be with William Karlsson and Riley Smith, and now Mark Stone. You bump him down from that spot where he was with Jack Eichel last year, and now you move him down with William Karlsson and Riley Smith and create what they hope to be one of the best shutdown lines in the NHL. You're absolutely right, and that was the one big talking point on July 1st, and I think Kelly McCrimmon said it himself when he was asked about the chemistry between Jack and Mitch, and I think the exact words he said was, well, somebody's got to shoot, and we're probably going to figure out as soon as maybe even tomorrow when it's expected that Mitch Marner makes his preseason debut with the Golden Knights and we see him and Jack Eichel on the same line. We'll probably see starting from there, what that chemistry looks like and how they can kind of feed off each other. But I do think that in order for the Golden Knights to get the best impact from their lines 1 through 4, and it obviously can change. Marner could go somewhere else on the lineup and probably shine with them, and then, this is probably a moot point. But I think looking at the way that the lines are constructed right now, for the Golden Knights to get the best bang for their buck in terms of what they want to do in rolling 4 lines, Mitch Marner and Jack Eichel probably do need to start with each other. And I do think that there's a lot of possibility there for Ivan Barbashev to kind of find his form from where he was in the first half of last year. And I do think that there's got to be an understanding between those two. And I think that there is, that somebody is going to have to shoot the puck a little bit more. I do think it's probably going to be Eichel. But we'll see. It'll probably be interesting to see how they line up when you get to October 8th for opening night, and probably how long that experiment goes. But I do think for right now, with the way that they want to get the best, the effect for their lineup, I do think it's going to be Marner with Eichel. And for Bruce Cassidy, if he can stick with that, just like he stuck with Eichel and Stone for all of last year, then that's going to be a bonus for him.
Hey, Danny, I'm always a big picture guy, and if we had Thomas Drance on here and we were going to make him talk about how a Hughes brother might end up in Jersey, I'm going to go right to that topic with Eichel. He's a UFA in the summer, and Marner making $12 million kind of sets a lot of teams. Well, we hear all the time about, oh my God, this guy makes this much money. How much can this guy make? And so, obviously, Eichel is not going anywhere this season. I think that's crazy to think about that way. But what is the kind of, when you look at the long-term plan with Eichel and finding a number and dollar amount, is this another season where Vegas has to make another creative move to move another big contract to make that work? Like, how does that in the long-term run with Eichel when it starts to look at that? Because I feel that's one of kind of the stories that's flown under the radar when it comes to UFAs is he's on July 1. He could sign anywhere if they don't get something done before then.
Yeah, that's obviously the one talking point here where a lot of fans are wondering, well, when in the world is it going to get done? And I think they also look to the situations in Edmonton and Minnesota and realize, well, maybe it's not as dire as it could be with Kaprizov turning down $126 million and Connor McDavid still not signing. There's definitely mutual interest. There's no doubt about that. Jack, I feel, wants to stay. He's won here. He's got, ever since he arrived here, there's been that trust and that understanding with the organization because they make the trade for him. They immediately say, okay, go ahead, get your next surgery that you want. We believe that this is the best course of action for you to be fully healthy going forward. And we believe in you. Go get it done. And I think that there was that mutual respect, that mutual understanding when the trade happened. And I think that's where that trust has been built since then. And then obviously Jack wins the cup in his first year in the playoffs. Last year has a 94-point season, finally shows that he's a Selke caliber player. There's a lot of factors into that. The good thing is probably for the Golden Knights is that the cap's going up. And if you were to ask them maybe 2-3 years ago, they would have hoped that the cap would go up for this kind of situation. But the cap going up for the next 2 years is going to be a big benefit for them. But the other, like you mentioned, in terms of figuring out the money, with the cap going up, does Jack's number go up as the season goes on, unless they want to lock something down before the season? If they can come in at 13 to 13.5 to 14 million, which is where I've kind of expected that they'll find a sweet spot in there at some point, I think that they'll be good. Going forward, if they were to lock it in for that kind of a number, at least you can have some flexibility to where you can find a good number to re-sign Pablo Dorofeyev, who's going to be an RFA this summer. You can probably find a nice sweet spot to get the likes of Riley Smith signed if you want to get Brandon Saad re-signed. There's a lot of interesting ways that they can go about it now with the cap going up. But yeah, there's definitely no doubt about it. They do want to get something done. I think both sides do want to get it done. When that is, I don't know. I don't know if they're just waiting for one domino to fall with whether it be Kaprizov or McDavid and going from there. But it is definitely there's definitely a lot of people. You walk around here, or you walk around the practice facility in Summerlin, and you're asking, why isn't Jack signed? That's the one question everyone continues to ask over and over again. And I feel like I have to tell people, well, this is why we have July 1st, so that way it'll eventually get done. And the one thing I point to also, the Golden Knights, they never really do business during the season. Last year, they got 5 of their UFAs done. They locked up Shea Theodore long term, Aiden Hill long term, Brett Howden long term, re-signed Brady McNabb, and Keegan Kolesar. So if it's not going to happen before the season, there's definitely traction to believe that it's going to get done at some point. It's just a matter of when's going to get done and what the final number is. And I think that Kelly McCrimmon is going to ultimately find a way to meet that number with what Jack is wanting.
All right, don't go anywhere. Lots more with Danny here next on DLLS.
I had a great follow-up too, Owen.
Become a big. Mentorship reshapes futures, strengthens communities, and drives economic progress. Together, we can change the odds and build a better tomorrow. Bigs and littles hang out a few hours a month doing normal everyday activities like seeing a movie, doing homework, playing games, going out to eat, or just hanging out. Each big and little match is supported by a dedicated match support specialist who is always there to provide resources and support. Enter your zip code on the site to find your local Big Brothers Big Sisters agency in your area and then complete the online inquiry form. Upon completion, Big Brothers Big Sisters staff member will contact you immediately. Go to bbbs.org/allcity for more information to sign up to become a big today.
All right, Luds, let's talk about the Supporters Club. And for those of you that are unfamiliar, we've been talking about it now for a couple weeks because it's relatively new, but this is, as Ben likes to say, true sicko level stuff. He even shouted
that's
sicko.
called a drive-by.
Probably didn't hear it, but we did. It was way over there. But you can see Ardell in the chat right now with that little SC badge. It's called Supporters Club. You sign up for this through YouTube, and you can
Now
have
he's
that.
becoming annoying.
T.O. is in there as well. I'm just checking. Okay, Harry's in there doing his thing. So not only when you're in the chat do you get a Supporters Club badge on YouTube for the live stuff, but you also get access to the exclusive emojis. And that's a big deal if you are a sicko in a really positive way, because that means you're hitting up our live show all the time. Whether it's the Stars, the Mavs, the Cowboys, Rangers, and Wings, here on DLLS, you can use those little emojis as part of it. Yeah, look, T.O. just used the bing bong. He loves that. By the way, GM Ben has heard you saying that you want more Stars emojis. The more people that sign up for Supporters Club, the more emojis we can release and unlock and do that. Plus, we have some exclusive content that we're going to have to do every now and then, only for people that are on Supporters Club. So check it out as we get back to Danny now here on the show. Do you want to do the follow-up before I ask him about Alex Pietrangelo?
Just really quick, Danny, and it's on Eichel since we were talking about him. Just curious, and you may not know his personality, but is he the kind of guy that will play for his meal, or does he need his meal to play for, if you know what I mean?
It's kind of like drive the line himself, right? Is that kind of like what you're referring to?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, does he need that contract? Is he gonna? He's not the kind of player that'll pout through not getting the deal done during the regular season. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I gotcha. I don't get the sense with that. I think Jack has been saying all the right things so far as, he wants to focus on this season. And obviously this is the first time I think that he's dealt with a situation like this. So there is some intrigue there as to, what he thinks he's worth and how they want to go about it. But, he's definitely saying all the right things right now in terms of, I want to just focus on the season, let the business handle it itself. But I don't get the sense that, especially knowing with what is going on here around the league, I don't get the sense that he's going to pout if nothing gets done. I got the sense that he's just going to handle his business, and if his play dictates things, then, like I mentioned before, maybe that number goes up, and then suddenly he's like, well, maybe we should have a little bit more of a conversation as to what's going on. So I got the sense that he's just going to be all business, and they're going to go from there. But it'll be interesting to see as we go on, maybe how his demeanor changes on that.
Danny, I got to ask you about Alex Pietrangelo because it has changed over the last 24 to 48 hours, and I'm sure that you being on the ground in Vegas have more details than just what we're reading online. But it looked like, as the Vegas Golden Knights are not quite 8 million, 7.6 according to Puckpedia, over the cap right now, that the Pietrangelo contract, as it was announced a while ago, he was going to miss the entire season, that was going to solve that cap problem. But then he comes out and says, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, that it may not be the entire season. And that seems to throw a wrench in the financial plans for the Golden Knights. What do you know? What's the latest about Alex Pietrangelo?
Yeah, it definitely would. And I know that people started flocking to that the moment that Alex definitely or definitively did not say that he was not going to play this year or next. But when you look at it from that standpoint, just like you mentioned, there's 7.6 million over the cap right now. Once the contract goes, they're 1.2 million in space. With the playoff cap now being implemented this year, there's got to be a whole lot of moving and shaking in order for it to happen. And I don't see how the Golden Knights can take anything off of their roster and then add back in Alex Pietrangelo. They would love to have that. They would love to have that presence in the locker room. They would love to be able to do that. I just don't see feasibly unless someone else comes out of the lineup that is making a substantial stack of change that it makes sense for it to happen. So I don't see it happening. I think it was just more so Alex wanting to come out and say, yeah, this is what happened. This is how it happened. I'm probably more than likely not going to play because if I needed to do the surgery, they pretty much have to go up my entire femur up to my hip and then do a whole operation on that, which I read about the other day, and it just sounds dreadful. So I don't see any pathway, regardless if he's ready to go this season, where Alex Pietrangelo plays, just because, one, he's probably hurting and reeling bad, and two, the money just does not add up. It does not make sense. So I know people will look to that and say, let's the Golden Knights, strike an LTIR again, but just this time they made the investment for Mitch Marner with the possibility that this was going to happen. I just don't see any way Alex Pietrangelo plays this year.
Me again?
If you're ready.
Wow, I got two? Okay.
Well, you did as a follow-up. I wasn't going to count that against you.
I'm going to follow that up then. Well, so then, Danny, he doesn't play this year. Let's just start with that possibly. Hanifin, Lauzon, are they adequate to fill in to take the place of him? Because Petro, to me, when he's there, I've always felt for these guys' notes for a few years, I thought they've had the best decor in the league for a few years. Is that hole big enough, or can it be filled by those two plus someone else?
Yeah, that's going to be the real question. And the one thing talking to the blue liners in the locker room is that this is going to be a by committee approach. They're going to be looking at Shea Theodore to probably take the lead now as that guy that is the minutes cruncher, is the guy that's going to be the one that, unless they go 5 forwards on the power play, that's going to quarterback the power play. That's probably going to be expected to do some work on the PK. Noah Hanifin, like you mentioned, is someone who will definitely need to shoulder that responsibility. And if anybody needs to wonder about that, look no further than last night, because Noah Hanifin played 26 minutes in a preseason game, which is ungodly. And I don't know how that happened. But he played 5 minutes on the power play and another 3 on the penalty kill. So it looks like from that standpoint, Noah Hanifin is going to be taking on that kind of lion's share responsibility that Alex Pietrangelo leaves behind. Jeremy Lauzon, they hope that if he does slide into that number 6 spot, that he can be a complement to Caden Korczak, who they gave a 4-year extension to early in the summer. They fully believe in him as someone that can be a really good defenseman for years to come. And Lauzon just hits everything that moves. So if you want to put him next to a young kid like Korczak, that's probably going to help as well. And the other two that I didn't mention, Zach Whitecloud and Brady McNabb, who aren't the biggest point producers, but they definitely lead by example. Zach Whitecloud is definitely someone who is starting to become more of that vocal leader And I think that the Golden Knights are going to look to him to be that kind of a guy going into this year. And Brady McNabb is pretty much their Iron Man right now. He hasn't missed a game in 3 years. Thought he was going to miss game 4 against Edmonton or game 3 against Edmonton last year, and then suddenly he just pops back up like nothing happened. That's just how crazy tough he is. So it's definitely going to be a by-committee approach with that group. They all definitely miss Alex Pietrangelo. There's no doubt about it. But they're also banking on Shea Theodore taking that next step after what he did last year before he got hurt in the Four Nations. And they're banking on Noah Hannafin to continue to round into the elite defenseman that they think he is capable of becoming.
Danny, I preface this question with I'm a believer in Carl Lindblom as a goalie prospect. So I preface this question with that.
I'm right there with you.
And so I look at this season and we hear all about, oh my God, the Olympics, it's going to be a condensed schedule. I don't understand how any team is going to trust Akira Schmid for more than 10 games a year. And I don't think Aiden Hill is a 65 game a year guy. So is Carl Lindblom going to get a shot with Vegas this year? Where are they going to go with that? Just because I look at that and I hear all about goaltending depth and this schedule is going to be hard for everyone. And when I see a projected lineup on Puckpedia right now of Hill and Schmid, that's fine. But then I remember that the usage that both need, and then I get a little bit scared if I'm in Vegas' shoes.
Yeah. First of all, I am definitely right there with you on Carl Lindblom. I think he is tremendous. For a bad Henderson Silver Knights team last year, he was absolutely spectacular. For right now, the Golden Knights do believe in the small sample size of Akira Schmid. And that's obviously a very small sample size because when you look at his numbers in Henderson last year, turn away as quickly as possible because they were not great at all. But they brought him up for a little bit because Ilya Samsonov was hurt, and he performed very well. And he performed so well to the point where he surpassed Samsonov. And I do think that they are at least going to trust that process for right now of having him back up Aiden Hill. I do think that they're probably going to give it probably the first 2 months, especially in November, because they're going to have a few back-to-backs to see where that tandem stacks up. But I do agree that probably the one area that a lot of people haven't been talking about this camp is, can Carl Lindblom challenge for that backup spot, which I think he absolutely can. And I think that he's had a good enough camp so far. He had a really good start on Sunday in San Jose. He's obviously the number 3 in the organization right now. So one injury and suddenly he's up with the big club right now. So I'm right there with you, Sean. I think that we're definitely going to see Carl Lindblom at some point. He's definitely not the prototypical goalie that the Golden Knights have wanted to employ for the last couple of years now. He's a little bit on the shorter side, but he reads the puck well. He does everything well in his crease. And I do think that we're going to see him at some point, whether it be through injury or by performance base, if Akira Schmid cannot hold up in the way that a lot of people are expecting that he can.
All right, Danny, we are almost out of time, so I want to ask you about the Dallas Stars. Not just Miro Heiskanen and the fan hatred of Mark Stone in Dallas, but more about your perspective of this team as it gets ready for the season. We've done this with all of our guests for this summer series. What do you see when you look at the Dallas Stars heading into 25-26?
Well, I still have a soft spot for the Stars because I grew up a Stars fan. So they're still a team that I still firmly believe in. I look at that roster, and it's hard to fathom how they couldn't get over the hump the last 3 years, especially the last 2. It's hard to fathom, but a full year with Rantanen, a full year hopefully with Jason Robertson. They can put the trade chatter away. Jake Ottinger, I still think is, top tier goalie, obviously. That team is so deep. It's so talented. And I didn't even mention Wyatt Johnson, who I think is probably one of my favorite young players in the league. That team is good. I still think they are. I think right now, if I had to pick, I want to say Edmonton's still there, but they keep losing players and supporting cast. Right now, it definitely, I feel, is Vegas and Dallas as the top 2 teams in the West. on paper. But I definitely do think that Dallas can, if they can get the right formula with Glenn, I think that they got something there. And I do think that they can probably get over the hump. But it'll be interesting to see Las Vegas Wranglers coaching legend Glenn Gulletson taking the reins over there and seeing how he does over there.
You saying growing up as a Stars fan explains a lot more why I see random tweets from you about the Texas Rangers.
Yeah. Fun fact: the very first Stars game I ever watched, I had no concept of hockey, but all I know is that some guy named Brett Hull supposedly did or did not step in the crease, and suddenly a 35-pound silver trophy is being paraded around Buffalo, New York. So that was my introduction to the Dallas Stars, and I thought they were just going to win every year, and they almost did the next year. And then we don't talk about Jason Arnott in these parts, I imagine. But
You two guys got
my
something
Dallas
in
sports
common.
What's that?
Well, you have no concept of hockey either.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I mean, it's perfect.
I definitely don't. I mean, I cover hockey in Vegas for a reason. There's definitely no concept of hockey over here.
Because the rinks are in casinos. That's why.
One of them used to be. One of
I
them
know.
actually used to be.
Been there, played there, stayed there.
Oh, man. Fun times here. Fun times here.
Well, Danny, it's a pleasure to have you on the show
Got
today.
kicked out of there.
We very much appreciate your time. Yes, Luds, you probably got thrown out of a few places. And we'll love to have you back on at some point later. I have a feeling that Stars in Vegas is going to be pretty contentious as we get into the regular season this year. So thanks for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Danny.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys. Great chatting with you.
All right, check
Thanks,
out
Danny.
Danny's work at the Las Vegas Review-Journal. There he goes. Up next, we'll bring Sam back on because Luds has some follow-ups here on DLLS.
Oh, man, I forgot.
But the real question is, does he remember that as
I don't right now.
Sean jumps into the diehard?
Yes. But first, you can ask your own follow-ups by becoming a diehard and getting into Lud's Damn Discord. And at some point, we'll do segments there where we take your questions and bring them straight to Lud's, and he goes through them. So yeah, so become a diehard. It's a great deal. You get Sam's writing. Sam's been out at camp all day, all of this week. He's been covering everything really well. You get to read that. If you want to read about the Rangers who just missed the playoffs, you can do that. We have that as well, but you probably want to stick with what's happening in Stars Land because it's going to be a pretty fun season. On top of that, you get a free shirt for every year you're a member, so that's pretty awesome. And if we have some, I don't know if any are going to pop up, but if shirts pop up on the screen, I'll rave about them. If not, I'll just try to. There we go. See the Jake Ottinger shirt, as Danny just said, top tier goalie in the world. We can get one of those. Better goaltending situation in Vegas. Some other shirts too. So become a diehard. You join a great community of hockey fans, Stars fans, Dallas sports fans in general, and it's a pretty cool thing to see that's been built here. So.
All right, let's talk about the ball knower bonus for a minute, and then we're going to get into why Sam's wearing this hat in just a moment. But go to the website, alldls.com. Sean just talked about how to sign up to be a diehard. If you are a diehard, this is even better because you can get a discount and try to win more merchandise from All City. So you go to the website, you click on merch, and then you click on ball knower bonus. And then the promotions will be popping up, and each week there's different ones. What you do is you spend $25 or more in merchandise. If you're a diehard, you get 20% off of merch. So you get a little bit of a discount, you get more. If you select a ball knower bonus and get it right, like for example, are you going to go for will Dallas sack the Green Bay quarterback? If you predict it correctly,
Aaron Rodgers.
you can win.
Aaron who?
Oh boy.
Brett Favre.
You can
Aaron
win a gift card for the amount you spent from All City, which means you double your money with extra merch.
Wow.
That's the ball knower bonus. Now,
That's balling.
if you can see Sam, he's wearing a hat that he didn't know the name of the character until we informed him right before the show today.
Nice hat.
Is it? Those are the Branded Bills
That
hats.
is a great hat.
It's
Those
comfortable.
are the
Very
hats
comfortable.
that you have been reading about when we do our Branded Bills.
Ah,
so I get to keep it.
No, that'd be nice. Well, if you read
Ryan, do I get to keep this?
hang on a second. If you read the promo, I think you should get a hat, right? Or not?
Yeah, you get a free
I
one.
mean, I would talk to the
Well,
boss.
I've read that promo a few times.
A
What's
lot.
the discount?
I should be taking these.
What's the
Well-
discount when you read it? You know it? You remember it?
What discount?
Oh, he doesn't
For,
remember
don't
that.
have a
for
clue.
BBBL.
Oh, is
LS.
that the 2 B's?
Yeah.
With an
Branded
L and
bills,
2 S's?
2
DLS.
B's, a D, a couple L's.
Yeah, there's a lot of
something
letters
like
in that.
Anyway, Sam says, "Oh, you know that guy? He was in Space Jam. He's talking about the Looney Tunes character that is on the hat, which is actually a college branded hat."
Wait. It started with he was in Space Jam.
Yeah.
This makes the
I
story
did.
even
I
better.
did.
Wait,
I did correct it to
wait.
Looney Tunes, but I did say Space Jam first.
Yes, yes, Sean.
It started with he was in space. Okay, this makes the story even better. Continue.
Hey, but I want to defend Sam because
Thank
I
you.
am a huge, not Space Jam, but I'm a Yosemite fan.
Yes.
I mean, I'm huge, and how big I am of a fan, I've got Yosemite in my yard. Well, not the Kim's got a name for that funky one on the right there, but I love Yosemite Sam.
That's amazing.
So that's the part that we were the most tickled about, was that Sam knew the character, but he didn't know his name. And it's hilarious because his name is Yosemite Sam and his name is Sam.
I vote that Hot Sam is gone and Yosemite Sam is.
You want to be Yosemite
fix it.
Sam
we
now?
could get Hot out of there, and we could be Yosemite.
Yosemite's cool. Why
I
do you
mean,
like Yosemite Sam so much?
I like the character. Did you watch the? No.
Yeah, I still watch Baby Looney Tunes now every once in a while. So.
I don't know what that is, but
I'm sorry, what?
what
is
I think he
Baby
said
Looney Tunes?
Looney Tunes?
You have not seen Baby Looney Tunes? Come on, put on Boomerang on a Saturday morning.
Is the Cartoon Channel the only channel you have?
Yeah.
Seriously?
No, but I do like Boomerang and Cartoon Network. They play Looney Tunes and all the good classics. Why did you like Yosemite Sam's character? Just the way he was?
Because he came
or
on right after the Jetsons.
shooting guns all over the place and running around?
It was the Flintstones, then that dude, and then the
Looney
other
Tunes.
ones.
Is Baby Looney Tunes a classic?
No. No, it was well after the regular Looney Tunes.
All right, so we're
They're just babies.
did you want to show Sam his other likeness? Because
Yes. Well, I
had
think
that.
we
Before
had
we-
it pulled up. I mean, because we thought he was supposed to.
Let's just prepare. We thought you were going to stay on the screen even during the middle
Yeah,
segment.
we thought somehow there was just gonna be a blank picture over here for Sam.
Yeah,
which,
we just
which
had to
kind
be-
of there is.
You were thinking
Who
about
is
him,
this
which was
guy?
nice. All right,
I don't know.
So
I don't know.
let's- that's my question
Just
for you.
sick.
Did you wanted to follow up on
No,
Sean's
I
power
have no
rankings?
idea what I was going to ask. You knew that was
You said
gonna
you
happen.
had. I know.
I'd
but
have to see the list again, and it doesn't matter. It
do you
probably
want us
wasn't.
to show you the list again?
No,
We've got
it's
it
okay.
ready. Okay.
You don't have.
So let's
I
talk.
think we should dive deeper into Looney Tunes.
No, let's talk about Jamie Benn for
Oh
a
yeah,
second.
let's do that.
Sam, you were at
Yes.
practice today, and we found out something about the captain.
Let me take my joke hat off for serious conversation. Yes, the Jamie Benn was the only one absent today from. So they split the groups up again today. Basically most of the non-group younger guys practice first, except for a couple of the guys like Ertl and a couple other ones that were there. But the group A, everyone was there except for Jamie Benn. We were told by Glenn Gulletson that he tweaked something upper body late in the game. He didn't play like the last couple minutes. It wasn't super obvious because we didn't really expect to see him out there in 3-on-3, but he didn't play the overtime. Took the day off today. Gulletson said it's not something they're super worried about, and he did follow up and say, like, he pointed at me and said, we are not rushing anything during this preseason. But the interesting thing about that was I followed up with him about it in general and how he's going to look at the whole year, because Sean has written about it a little bit, and we've talked a lot about whether it's Jake or whether it's the team or whatever, hitting a wall or getting too injured, whatever the problem is. And Gulletson said, like, that's a real thing we are looking at every day. And we are going to, he's like, we want to hit the ground running. We want to practice hard. We want to have hard, fast, short practices. And then we could start to dial back and take that extra day off or give that guy an extra day off. So I'm actually really fascinated to see how he approaches that, because the one specific thing he said was that he's going to pretty much leave goalie choices to Jeff Reese. He said, if there might be once in a while where I say, I really want to have Jake in this game, but for the most part, he said Jeff Reese is with them every day, goalie coach. He knows who's feeling good, who needs to get in a game, who, hasn't played in a little bit. He's going to kind of have that whole plan. So it'll be interesting to see how, one, if he sticks to that and really gives Jeff Reese the full control, but two, as Sean wrote about and we talked about a bunch over the summer and last year, how much he balances the Casey and Jake. Because Jeff is a goalie guy. He knows the goalies very well. However, he knows that means Jake's in his ear about wanting to play as many games as possible.
Sean, my follow-up to that is, do you think there'll be a difference with Gully compared to how Pete DeBoer handled goaltenders? Obviously, Game 5, okay, we get it. But more on the lines of, Do you think DeBoer called the shots that much, or was he relying on Reese last year?
I don't think it's going to change much on the start. I don't think that changes that much. I still think Jeff Reese was the person making the decisions on whether on who was playing and when. I don't think that changes much from Pete DeBoer to Glenn Goldson. Now, I do think there's a little bit more of a give and take in the conversation across the organization, and I think that is something where it's not just the coaching staff. It also includes Jim Nill, it includes management, it includes the sports science guys. Because when Glenn was hired, he was pretty honest about it. He said, hey, there's a lot of data that shows that goalies who go over that 50, 55 games tend to hit walls in the playoffs. And so I think there's going to be a little bit more of an open conversation across the group, and that includes and they as much as it's fun to say, oh, Jake will say he'll want to play every game. I've actually spoken to some people like Jake understands that the ultimate goal is to win 16 games in the spring, right? Like that's more important than anything else. Is how does this team win 16 games between April 22nd and June 14th or whatever the date is, and if that means him playing less games, and that means that's the greater good, Jake will be on board for that. And so I think it's kind of a lot of lessons were learned from the Pete DeBoer era on how things were done. I think Jeff Reese probably took some lessons away. If there's times he probably has to push back on his coach a little bit as well. And so I think it's a fascinating dynamic for all of them to play out here. Yeah.
Sean, since you're talking about goalies, is this the first year of the full-time or every team having their own e-bug? Or does that start next year?
Starts next season.
Do you have any idea who they're looking at or what they will? Is that just still work in progress?
Well, the one of the problems was the original definition that we talked about. They were like, oh, third goalie and everything like that. We thought it was going to be a job opportunity for a lot of quote unquote 4A guys, but a lot of them are, the qualifications were set really high. Like Owen and I were talking about it off air at one point here, where if you've played an NHL game, you're basically ineligible. If you've played X amount of AHL games, you're ineligible. Like, so there has definitely been, for all of the big deal it made about like, hey, there's a third pro goalie on this team. They set the bar really high for someone to be able to get under. Sorry. In order for someone to be eligible, you have to be very close to what the current e-bug setup is. And so
yeah, you can't be like Magnus Hellberg, who was the number 3 last year. We thought it might be those AHL guys that are on the fringe of the NHL, and then they could keep their job with the NHL team, make a good living for a couple years. Those guys have played way too much. Yeah. It's got to be a guy who's almost barely been in pro hockey, if at all.
Yeah, it's gonna be some of the guys who get plucked from the ECHL. Honestly, there's gonna be some guys who are gonna be some ECHL level goalies who are going to be early in their careers and realize, hey, you know what? I can spend a year living an NHL life, practice with an NHL team, and maybe that's my launching pad to another opportunity at the AHL level or something like that. So I do know that with that next year, the big thing is going to be how you're able to structure your practices. And it's going to be the spot of, okay, are you going to be able to give your number one more days off from practice without having it mess up your practice and everything like that. So that's kind of
those guys that will get some money, that does not go into the cap.
No.
Is that correct?
No, that's separate.
So and again, these guys might not even play a game, so I don't know if it's that big a deal. But
I don't think they can unless you absolutely
well, no, that's
to,
what I'm
right?
saying is they don't generally get in, but I'm just wondering, is there any kind of a race to get to the best guy? And he might play 1 or 2 games all year at max. I'm just wondering, do we go out there and say...
I don't even know if there is a best guy necessarily, just because it's like...
Well, there has to be one better than the other 29 that they're going to get.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it's a goofy one.
I'm just trying to kill time. There's 30 seconds left.
Right. Well, guess what?
I just want to make sure we didn't go over.
Tomorrow's show that and by the way, Ben jumped in on the Animaniacs conversation in the chat that Sam started with his cartoon things. I just want to throw out there, we have a pregame show tomorrow night. It's at 6:30, Stars at the Minnesota Wild. So again, another game against Minnesota. I would imagine, we said this in the postgame last night, that Minnesota will have a much more NHL-laden team in their lineup compared to last night, and the Stars might not. We'll find out. Although,
Casey DeSmith.
Casey's going to play tomorrow, whole game.
He wants to play the whole game. He's not sure yet, but he will start
We
tomorrow.
have it. All right. Big thank you to Danny Webster for coming on and talk about the Vegas Golden
We're gonna
Knights.
see Liam
For
Bishop?
Sean, for Sam, or Yosemite.
You better say your prayers, you flea-bitten varmint. I'm gonna blow you to smithereens.
I love it.
That's you, Zeb.
Private
That's you.
First Class Ryan, and for Luds, I'm Owen. We'll see you tomorrow night. You're on DLS.
We all silly like the mayor.